Sorry, my Power BI is coming up. All right. Anybody can help us where we stopped so that I can continue while Power BI comes up. Anybody?
Yes, okay. In the last class, we
Yes,
use
ma'am.
hierarchy, and then
Awesome.
we create models, data models. We keep creating data
Awesome.
models.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. So we looked at hierarchy last class and we covered modeling, right? Data modeling. I want to believe by now everybody has created finalized their models. I want to believe we have all finalized our model by now. On the same page as I am. Let me know if you have just raise your hand if you are done with your model. Raise your hands if you have done with your model. If you have done your model, please raise your hand. Anyway. Awesome. I have 2 people. All right. Let's get to it. So today we're going to be covering the next topic, which is data analysis expression. DAX. We're covering DAX today. So please, I need you to pay attention. In between it, right, we have somebody who we have brought in. I like to not be the only one to encourage us in tech. So we're bringing somebody who's a friend to us and who we know very well, who is doing very well in tech. I'm sure you've seen her profile. She's a solid Android developer. And I just wanted her to come and talk to us about the tech journey and encourage us as well, share experience, and we can also ask questions, right? You can also ask her questions on how to proceed in tech, right? So and deliberately made the person come in a female so that because we have a large number of females in this class or in this course, so that we can learn from her. She's married as well, so you know that you can also do wonders in tech. So that's why we're bringing her. That's why we're bringing her. Please help me mute your mic. Thank you. All right. I think this is the project I'm looking for. Hold on. Please. Okay. Sorry, it's coming up. taking a bit of time. I thought I started it up already. Opening a new project. All right. I think the project has loaded. All right. So last class we looked at we started with territories, right? We created hierarchy, sorry. We created hierarchy last class, right? How many of us were able to replicate that, right? Our data is clean and ready for use. So we're going to go into the model just to see what we have in the model and, pick it up from there. Now, the model, like I said, is very important to the analysis. It's very, very, very important that we get everything right in the model, right? Now, one thing you should know is that you need to understand the business case for you to be able to, really create the model. If you do not understand the business case and the way the tables are supposed to work with each other, or the way the queries now, we're using queries and table interchangeably now, right? The way the queries are supposed to relate with each other, right? You would not get the best out of Power BI and even Excel as well. The same thing in both of them. So it is very essential, very expedient that we get the model right? And last class, in creating the model, I told you about the two ways to create a model, the star schema and the snowflake schema, right? The star schema and the snowflake schema. The star schema basically is when your lookup values are, or your lookup tables are surrounded, your data table is surrounded by the lookup table. That is, your data table is getting data, right? It's getting data from the lookup tables, right? Such that they all surround what? They all surround the data table, right? And we talked about the snowflake, right? The snowflake basically is when you are joining tables together in such a way that you the data are flowing across multiple tables to a single table. That's what you have in Snowflake, right? In form of a chain, a chain of dimensions, right? So you have a Snowflake table in such a way that you have your tables all lined up, right, in a chain form. That's what we call a snowflake, right? So you see this relationship here between the sales table, the product table, the product category, and the product subcategory and product category table. You can see that the product information is flowing down from the product to the product category to the product itself, then to the sales table. That is what we call a snowflake, right? So you need to be able to identify. Now, the reason why we created a snowflake, if you remember, is that we could not link the product category table directly to the sales table, and we could not link also the product subcategory directly to the sales table. Hence, we have to look for a table we have to look for a way that the tables or the queries will form a chain, and then we'll be able to relate them to each other. And we did that last class, right? Today, we're going to start with data analysis expression, right? Data analysis expression. What is data analysis expression and how do we use them? Now, this class, I'm going to be, as much as I want to move fast, I know that might be difficult so that we can comprehend fast. But please, I need you to follow me in a more steady and fast way so that we can cover a lot, right? Data analysis expression, right, is that expression, right, is the expression that we use to solve or handle business cases in Power BI, right? Data analysis expression is what we use to handle business cases in Power BI. right? We use it to handle business cases in Power BI, right? Data analysis expression basically handles business cases, right? You want to know how many sales, what's the total number of orders generated in the last 1 year, right? We can generate that with data analysis expression, right? Remember that in Excel, right, you use expressions you evaluate expressions on your data to be able to get insight from the data. And the same thing that we're doing here in Power BI, right? We use data analysis expressions, right, to solve business cases, right? To ask questions of the data so that we can get insight from them. Now, there are two ways to employ data analysis expression in Power BI. There are two ways. There are two ways to employ data analysis expression in Power BI, and we're going to be looking at the two ways as we proceed, right? We're going to be looking at the two ways as we proceed, right? Let me just jump into the data view so that we can familiarize ourselves again with the data, right? Let's familiarize ourselves again. Right, we have somebody joining the class now.
Mr. Fian, sorry, sir. Have you started sharing your screen?
Yes, my screen is shared.
Sorry, I've not been seeing your screen since.
Might be your network. All right, so I'm trying to get my dates into short dates for easy use. My dates table is ready. Can you see that there's a year hierarchy created automatically for me from here? Can you see day, month, and day? I didn't create this. This was generated automatically by Power BI, right? So that's an hierarchy, right? We want to look at the second table, which is the customer table, right? So this customer table is also good. Now we're going to be creating more columns, right? I'm going to show you how we're going to be creating these columns and how we're going to proceed from there, right? Okay. Product category table, product subcategory table, the product table itself.
Are you recording the class?
Yes, the class is recorded. Class has been recorded. All right, so let's get to it, right? So data analysis expressions are basically, like I said, expressions. These expressions include, they include mathematical expressions, statistical expressions, logical expressions, and some filter expressions that are very peculiar or peculiar only to Power BI, right? So most of the expressions that you worked with in Excel actually work here, right? Except that we now have some ones or some of them that are now very peculiar to Power BI. Are you following me? Right? So we're going to be looking at them one after the other. But there are two ways to use data analysis expression, right? There are two ways to use data analysis expression. If you look at a table, right? If you look at a table, if I want to take, for example, I want to talk about the two ways to use data analysis expressions, right? We have the first one as what we call calculated columns, and we have the second one as measures. The first one, I'll say again, right? Data analysis expression, right? The first way is to what? Is to create what we call calculated columns, right? And when you create calculated columns, it means that the expression generates a row, generates a value for every observation That is, observations are rows now. In the data set. Right? So basically, you are generating a new column from an expression. Now, how does this affect the table? How does this affect the table, right? Or your query? Data analysis expression, when you use data analysis expression to create calculated columns, right? Of course, right, this increases the size of the query slash file, right? Increases the size of the query slash file, all right? And you only do this, we only use calculated columns when you know that you need to generate values for each row. I'll show you, don't worry. Remember that this class is a practical class. I just wanted to establish a bit of theory so that we understand what we're doing here and we can proceed from there, right? So we only use this where we are generating columns and generating rows and basically slicers and filters, right? So it is used to generate rows, columns, slicers, and filters, right? Basically, right? Used to generate rows, columns, slicers, and filters, right? Somebody's trying to join the class. Tammy, it seems your network is terrible. Madam Olakweju, same thing. See you going and coming in. What's happening? All right, so basically that is calculated columns, right? Let us see an example of calculated columns. Let's see an example. Let's see a quick example of a calculated column, right? I hope everybody is following me. I hope you can see my screen very well as well, right? So please pay attention as we proceed. All right, so I'm going to head straight into the product table. Sorry, sales table, sorry. I'm going to head straight into the sales table, right? Can you see me? Can you see? I hope you can see my screen. I'm inside the sales table. Now, the first evaluation that we want to do, right? The first evaluation of business case now. Our business case here is that we want to know, right, if an order all right. We would like to know if an order is a single order, single item order, or multiple item order, right? So what does this case scenario mean? This case scenario means that when you go to ShopRite or you go to Spar to buy something or to make an order, right? You either buy one thing or you buy multiple things, right? So we want to know from the order quantity, right? We have a column that tells us about the order quantity, right? We want to know if the column or if the order is a single order, is a single item order. Maybe the person bought just one thing, or maybe that order contained multiple items. Right? So how do we do this, right? Basically, right, I'm inside of my, so this table I'm referencing, or the table that has the information, right? Remember, I've always told you that you cannot analyze a table if you do not understand the table, right? You must understand the data, you must understand what the business is for you to be able to do this analysis, right? So in this situation, right? What we want to know is that we're looking at this order item, order quantity column, right? You can see that this order was generated on this date and was stocked this date, and this is the order ID for it. And the product key is this. What was bought was that the customer who bought it is this, and the territory where it was generated is this. The order line item is this, and the quantity is what we have here, right? So we want to know from this quantity to know, right? You can see that in the quantity, right? If I just look at it, so you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, right? So in some orders you have 1, in some orders you have 2, in some orders you have 3. What? 3 quantity or 3 quantity of stuff being bought. So we want to generate a new column that tells us more about this to say if it is a what? If the single item order or a multiple item order. How do we do this? We use data analysis expression, right? We use data analysis expression to do this, right? If you are in Excel, what would you do? You probably write an if statement to solve that, because you want to say if the item is a single order item, right? Is a single quantity, ordered quantity item, then what happens? It is a single item that was bought, right? And if it is more than one, it is greater than one. Hence, what do you have? Multiple items. So it's the same thing that we want to do here, right? But how do we do that, right? How do we do that is the question. How do we do that, right? So we're just going to right click on any part of the table. Remember that we are inside what we're inside the table now, right? We're inside the table now, right? So I can click on anywhere on the table, and either on the data part or the table itself, and just click on new column. Now, new column. Remember that why am I using new column? I'm using new column because every single row, right, must have a resultant value after the expression has been evaluated. I hope everybody is following me. Please pay attention, right? Please pay attention. Data analysis expression is not something you learn in one day, right? We're only trying to build a foundation, a very good foundation here, so that this foundation we can carry everywhere, right? It's like Excel. You have to continue to learn. So we cannot finish data analysis expression, but can get a very good hang of it, and we'll continue to learn as we proceed. So please, I need you to pay attention. For those who are coming in out, Sammy, can you get a better network? I've admitted you over 10 times, right? Can you get a better network? Right, sorry. All right, so now to evaluate that expression, remember that our business case is that we would like to know if an order is what? Is a single item order or a multiple item order, right? So from that business case, we know that what the order quantity column from this on the sales table is what we would use that expression on, right? And this order quantity column tells us more about what the amount of orders that was what generated by quantity ordered generated by each order. So what do we do? So we're just going to right click. Now we're just going to right click from anywhere on the table, either on the table side here.
Hello,
or
sir.
on the, yes, ma'am.
I can't even see the table. The first table you clicked on, that is what is on my screen now. So I'm not seeing what you are doing now. Or maybe it's my network.
Yes, I think it's your network.
The
Right.
one
Just
they wrote,
chill.
okay.
Just chill to come. All right. I hope everybody can see my screen. Every other person can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to I'm right clicking on the table, right? Like I said, you can also right click on this part. Can you see? So you have new measures and you have new columns. We'll talk about new measures much later, right? We're dealing with new columns at the moment. So I'm just going to right click and say, I hope that is new. Sorry, it's doing a measure. Sorry, I mistakenly pressed measure there. Let's get out of that. All right, so I'm just going to right click again and say new column, right? New column. All right, so can you see that that's already what? Inserted a new column for me, right? Now it is asking me for what? For my data analysis expression in the formula bar. Can you see? In the formula bar, it's asking for what? For the data analysis expression, right? So how do we do that, right? So I'm just going to say quantity type, let's use quantity type as that quantity type is equals to, right? If now, same way Excel is intuitive and has intelligence, right? Power BI is also the same, right? If statement also is the same in SQL. I mean, in SQL, yes, in SQL, in Excel, and also the same here, right? You have a logical test, you have a true value, and you have a false value, right? So we're familiar with that, right? Now, one thing I also need to point out is that a column, the column notation in Power BI is a bit different from what you have in Excel. And what do I mean by that, right? It's similar to what we have in SQL, right? Because these things are queries, right? So it's similar to what we have in SQL, right? What it means is that if I want to access the order quantity column, right, I need to be able to what? First of all, reference the table where that order quantity column is coming from. Are you following me? I need to what? I need to be able to reference. So it will not give me the other quantity column, except what it gives me what? The name of the column, that means the name of the table that value is coming from. So what do I do? If I just say order quantity, right? Can you see? Can you see what I'm talking about? So you can see that it's telling us that what it is from what AW underscore says in with the assessor, right? Can you see the square bracket assessor? Then the other quantity. So that's the column that I need. The other quantity column is the column that I need, right? The other quantity column is the column that I need, right? So I'm going to say if that column is greater than 1, right? That is my expression. That's my logical test. If that square table is greater than 1, then what am I supposed to insert? It's asking for my what? For my result if true. If my result if true is what? If it is greater than 1, then we say what? Multiple items. Right? What is my false value? Right? If it is not multiple, then it is what? It's a single what? Single item. Close that bracket. And if we hit enter, what happens? It generates the value for each what? It generates a value for each row in the table. Now we have what? We have a new column generated. Can you see? This is the column generated. Can you see that you have what? You have an icon in front of it that says that FX, right? Basically, that means that this is a what? This is a data analysis created column, right? This column was created with a data analysis expression. Are you following? So if you look at the content inside of that, right, you see what? Multiple items or single what? Single item, right? So that is the use, that is a good example of data analysis expression. And using a data analysis expression now to generate a new column, right? Now, one thing I also want you to pay attention to is that if you look at Power BI, Power BI is a bit more intuitive, right, than Excel in terms of the fact that Power BI does not look at your tables in terms of referencing, right? There is no Power BI does not do referencing. Referencing that we have in Excel, the row and column referencing, right? Power BI would deal with each column. When you are generating a new column, it knows that it has to generate columns, values for all the columns. Are you following me? So we don't need to give a reference. What we just need is the column title, and we are good. Followed by whatever expression you want to use with it. Please let me know if you got what we just discussed.
Yes, carry on, sir. At least we got it somehow.
Okay, don't worry. You will get it. You will get it. You will get it. I'm very certain of that. All right. So that is what? That is basically a what's it called now? A calculated column, right? Creating a calculated column with data analysis expression. Now, I want to know, let's say that I want to know another business case now, right? Another business case. Let's say I want to know let's say, generate the total quantity, total order quantity. Generate the total order quantity value. Right? We want to know what is the total order quantity, right, in our sales data, right? We want to know what is the total order quantity in our sales data, right? So let's use the data analysis expression again. How do you do that? If you are saying you want to generate the total order quantity, right? What it means is that you are looking at the quantity column, right? That is the order quantity, and we want to sum up all the values inside of it, right? Remember that there are several there are single values, there are multiple item values there as well. So we want to sum up that column, right? That's basically what we want to do. Right. The question would now be that how do we do this kind of values? How do we do this, right? Of course, we're going to use data analysis expression to be able to evaluate this model, right, or solve this business case. But the question is, are we supposed to do it as a column, as a new column, or as a measure, right? Let us try it as a column. Now, if I right-click and say new column, right, just follow me. Same step that we did earlier, except that the expression I want to use now is a bit different. So I say total what? Total quantity, total order quantity. Right, total order quantity. Right? How do I sum up values in Excel? Right? How do we sum up values in Excel? Who can try?
Sum function.
Equals to.
Exactly. We use the sum function. Exactly. We use the sum function. So
select the
we
column.
use the sum function here. Can you see? The sum is here as well. Right? So the sum function is what we need, right? And what column are we working on? Now, if you look at it, because I'm using the sum function, it brings me out to the whole data set, right? All the tables are here, all right? So I just need to what? I know the table that I'm working on, and I know the column that I want to use. So the order quantity column, right? Can you see? That's the column here, the order quantity column, right? If I close that, what happens? Now, what did you notice? What did you notice? You'd see that it generated a new column, right? Because we are what? We're using what? We are using the total calculated column procedure, right? And it generated the same value, redundant value across all the data, 84,174 across all the data. That's what we have there, right? 84,174. So what does this mean? Does this really make sense? If the value is going to be replicated across the other value, right? Remember that sum is an aggregated function. We know this already, right? I'm building on knowledge that we have already. We talked about this in SQL. We talked about it in Excel, right? Sum is an aggregate function, right? Of course, we know what aggregate function means. Aggregate functions are functions. These functions right? These functions, right, are applied or take multiple rows and return a single value as output, as their outputs, right? So these functions take multiple rows as input and return a single value as an output. So if you want to know what is total sum, total order, right? You know that it is counting all the rows in the data and it's going to tell us a singular value, right? If you want to know the average quantity ordered per day or per whatever it is, right? We can know that, but we know that at the end of the day, aggregate functions like sum, other aggregate functions like count, distinct count, average, minimum, maximum, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, which one is there again, and so on and so forth. All of these functions, right, are what are aggregate functions, right? They are aggregate functions. So they would only return what is single value, right? Now, this single value has been multiplexed across all the rows, right? Which is not the case that we want. This is a total waste of time, a total waste of space, and of course, it's going to what? It's going to cause redundancy, which would affect the database, right? Or which will affect the data. So what do? When you have this kind of situation where you know that a single result is what you need to create, a single result is what you are getting, right? We don't use calculated columns. We use what we call measures. I hope you're following me, right? Calculated columns is used when you know that values are supposed to be generated for all of your columns, right? If this expression had created several different values, right, we would not have a contention with it. But we have a contention with it now because, right, the values are generated is the same across the whole 56,046 rows in this data. Hence, it is not useful to us. So we're going to delete this column and we're going to recreate it as a measure. So a measure basically, right, deletes. Right, a measure basically, we use measure, right? A measure is a placeholder that holds a single word, a single value for us, right? That we want to use in our report, right? I'll say that again. A measure is a single placeholder, right? Is a single placeholder that holds a is a placeholder that holds a single value. Sorry, is a placeholder that holds a singular value, a single value or a scalar value that we want to use in our report, right? So how do we create measures? You can create measures from here, right? You see, write a data analysis expression that calculates a value. Can you see a value from your data? If you look at column, right, new column says write a data analysis expression that creates a new column in the selected table and calculates value for each row. Very simple, very, very simple. So that's the difference between the two of them. Now, when you create a measure does not extend the size of your table. It is only a column that extends the size of a table. A measure is just a single value, right? I'm going to go into the data analysis view. I mean, into the into my report view, right? And I'm going to create measure from here. So now, if you create your measure, if you click on your measure from here, right, it's likely to place the measure in any of the tables, right? That's why we don't use this part to create measures or even calculated columns, right? So it's either is more expedient that you right click on the table that you want to create this measure in and create the measure inside of it, right? So I've clicked on measures inside of AW sales, right? I clicked on measures inside AW sales, right? Can you see that it has that calculator measure or calculator icon in front of it? That tells us that what it is a measure. So we're going to say total, what we're creating is total ordered quantity, right? Which is equal to now the same expression that we have earlier, sum, right? Order quantity, the sum of the total order quantity, right? If we hit enter now, right, the measure is created. All right, so can you see the measure now? This is our measure created. This is our measure created. So if I select my matrix here, right? Remember this matrix that we created from the last class, right? This matrix that we created from the last class. So we're using this matrix as a visualization for what we've been doing, right? Just to see what our analysis comes to. Right. So if I select this now, are you following me? Right. If I select this now, what I have there is ordered quantity for, can you see our total order quantity? Now, and quantity returns, I'm going to remove quantity returns from that. And I'm going to drag, can you see? That is my total order quantity, the measure that we just created. I'm going to drag that into what? Into values, right? I'm going to drag that into values. Right. So if you look at it, what we have is almost the same value with the other quantity. Almost the same value with the other quantity. So why? What exactly is happening? That's the question, right? If this is a measure, and this, of course, is a column, right? It's just a column from the data, right? It's just a column from the data. Now, there are two ways to what? To creating a value, right, in Power BI. What we created then, we have what we call an implicit expression. Let me call it an implicit expression. And we have explicit expressions. Implicit expressions are basically expressions that are what? That are generated expressions generated by the Power BI itself, right? Remember, Power BI is very intuitive, right? So by just dragging, the same way we have in a pivot table in Excel, when you drag a column into values, it calculates the sum for you, but you can see the average and all that. That's basically what implicit expression is, right? Explicit expression are now expressions generated as a result of applying data analysis expression on columns, right? So implicit expressions are expressions that are generated for you by the system itself. I'll show you. Explicit expressions are expressions that you generated by yourself using data analysis expression. Now look at this. I hope everybody is following me, right? I hope nobody is lost. Please follow me. I hope nobody's lost. Am I too fast? Please talk to me if I'm too fast. Let me know. What am I clicking on? If I'm too fast, please let me know. I'm trying to connect with us now, right? Just give me a thumbs up or a I5 if you are following me. Or just raise your hand if you are following me. If I'm too fast, let me know. Mr. Allowance, thank you. Madam Olapoju, thank you. Sorry, I mistakenly opened my RStudio. I need responses, please. Madam Olaide, thank you. Thank you. I need to know people who are following me. Please follow me. Please follow me. Please follow me. I think I've taught us how to learn. Awesome. Madam Angela, well done. Right? Please follow me. Please follow me. Please follow me. Don't be left out. Please do follow me. All right. So I'm going to go back into my Power BI. Now, let us look at it this way. We have other quantity. This other quantity, I'm going to remove it and I'm going to recreate it, right? All right, so this is our measure, right? Let me remove the measure as well. So what we have here is a report of product name, right? Product name, we have a product name. All right, so we have our product name that way. And in product name, I want to know the other quantity, right? So I can easily either create a measure for it, right? This is a measure. Remember that the calculator sign is in front of it, which shows that it's a measure. It tells us the total and what? And it calculates it calculates the total order for each what? For each product item, of course, using filter context, right? Filter context basically saying that where it calculates the total quantity order by saying calculate the total sum of total quantity order where take for example, product name equals what? Classic vest L, right? In Excel, you can come up with that with your sum if statement, right? So just think about this as a sum if statement, basically. That's actually what you have there, right? Doing sum based on doing the sum based on what's it called now? Based on conditional statements. Once this value is equals this value, if the product name is equals this value, then do a sum of all the values that meets that meets that criteria, or that is true for that criteria, right? And that's what you have here. So it does a sum of the total order for each of the items, right? So if you scroll down, that's what you have. Then you have the total. The total order is here, right? So we created that with a measure, right? If you look at it, this measure, right, does not have any other component to it. It is a specific measure that is created for the sum of the total quantity order, right? If I put in my order quantity in the same values, right, the order quantity column now, the order quantity column, look at it, same values, right? Same act, same expression that it created, gave us the same values for each of them. Then what? It gave us what? It gave us a total value, right? But if I click on this sum of order value and I click on the arrow beside it, right, can you see that I have several other implicit expressions that I can run on it? So I can say what is the average value? Can you see average value for each item or for each order quantity, right? I can say what is the average value. I can say what is the minimum, what is the count distance, what is the standard deviation, median, and so on and so forth, right? So that is the difference between a measure and an implicit expression. Looks like plenty English to me, right? Or sounds like plenty English, but I hope you understand what I'm saying, right? So sometimes, right, measures are important when you are holding just a single value, right? Let me show you. I can easily come here and just say, okay, let me see that measure. I want to know the total the total ordered quantity, total order quantity. So I'm clicking on the card visualization or the card visual. Yeah, I'm clicking on the card visual, and I'm going to click on, because I have the card visual, I just want to see the total, right? Can you see 84K? Right, so it tells me that is total ordered quantity, total ordered quantity, 84K. This is a visual, right? This is a visual. I hope you're following, right? So this is the difference between measures and calculated columns. Calculated columns, once again. Yes, talk to me.
Sorry, I was raising my hand, but I guess we're not.
Oh,
Mr. John, please, how did you, I don't know, please, can you take me back to how you got the total, I don't know, total sales, whatever.
Total order
how you were
quantity.
able to calculate it? Yes.
The measure.
I'm a bit lost at that point, yes.
Okay, don't worry, right? What we created is a measure, and we use a data analysis expression for it, right? If I click on that measure, right, can you see this is the M code for it? We call this M code, right? That's the data analysis expression for it. Can you see total order quantity equals sum of the order quantity that is coming, order quantity column coming from the AWS query. Are you following me? Right. So what I just did was just to right click on anywhere on the table and click on measure, right? Sorry, click on measure. Okay, let's delete it. Let's delete it and recreate it so that everybody can see again. All right, you can see that our visuals are gone, our tiles are gone, because what we used in building them is gone, right? Can you see as well that it's giving us a caution that this is invalid? So we have to remove that as well. So we're going to recreate that, right? You can see that it has reverted back to using the original one that we have. So I'm just going to right click on it again. I hope everybody's looking at me. Right click and go to measure, right? New measure now, right? New measure. Right, in my new measure now, can you see in my what's it called, in the formula bar? So I'm going to give my measure a name, total order quantity, right? Total order quantity equals to, now, sum of what? The sum of the order quantity column, which is coming from the sales table, right? That's basically what we did there. So that becomes the measure that we're looking at. So if you look at it already, it is rebuilding my analysis, right? It has rebuilt this analysis. So if I put that measure back into value field, right, it will rebuild these as well. Does that make sense, right? So that is the difference between calculated columns and measures. Right? We want to create another measure, right? Let's create another measure. I hope everybody's following me, right? We want to create another measure. We want to create a measure that says what is the total, or want to know the quantity sold, right? We want to know the quantity sold. That is, what is the total quantity of orders sold, right? Are you following me? We want to know what's the total number of orders generated. Basically, that's what we want to know. What's the total number of orders generated, not the total number of the quantity sold now, right? We want to know how many orders did we generate, right? Basically, what do we do? It's a new measure, right? Measure again. All right, click on any part of my data, I go to measure, right? Go to measures, right? So I say, let's call it quantity code, right? Would be sum of what? Order. Hold on. AW sales. All right, AW underscore sales column. Order number, yeah. Sorry. So total number of that. So that measure has been created. Can you see? Measure, another measure created. If I click on this and I say quantity sold, let me remove quantity sold. What do we have there? Okay. Something is wrong with that measure. Let me see. Sorry, I'm using the wrong sum. So let's say count, sorry. Count. All right, can you see? So what we have is that for each of the items that was bought, right, we had all-purpose bike stand bought how many times? 234 times, right? 234 times. AWC logo cap. Let me put this on focus so we can see it very well. Awesome, right? AWC logo cap. Total order quantity is this, but it was sold how many times? Can you see? It was sold 2,062 times. So what does that mean? It means that this was the total number of times that this order was processed. But this is the total content, the total number of items that was sold. It's like you're saying that how many times did somebody come into the shop to come and buy bread, right? This became 2,062 times, right? But in that 2,062 times, what's it called? 4,151 breads were sold. That's basically what we have there. Are you following me? That's what basically, so if you look at it, some of the, take for example, for a bike stand, right? A bike stand is probably something you buy once. You cannot buy two, right? You only buy one. That's why the total order quantity and the total sold quantity, right? I mean, the total sold match, right? But for a logo cap, right? You probably can buy two, you can buy three, right? So that is why there's a difference, right? There's a difference between what the total order quantity and the total quantity sold. Are you following me? So basically, maybe I should change this to, instead of total sold, let's call it total what should we call that now? Let's call it count of orders. Count of orders. Are you following me? Count of orders. All right. So that's the same thing we have here. You can see slim, long sleeve logo jersey large, right? Number of times it was what ordered is 4,424. Number of total quantity bought is also what 424, right? So basically, naturally, what you discover is that you have for some of the others, right? You have a lower number here compared to the content that was what that was. So that is why if you look at it, the values here is 56,000 and 46 and 56,000 and 46, while the total order quantity sold is more than that, right? I hope I can continue. Now let's move to let's talk about logical expressions. So we are more convenient with logical expressions. Let's move to logical expressions. Using DAX, let's use data analysis expression in logical to build logical expressions, or using logical functions in data analysis expression. All right, so we are all aware of logical functions, right, from Excel, right? What are the logical functions? Anybody?
If and
Thank you. If and
less than
no. If and no. If and or. Thank you. If and or, right? What we have with greater than, less than are conditional operators. Those are conditional operators. Don't mix them up, right? Conditional operators that we use with logical statements. So you have your less than, you have your greater than, you have less than or equals to, you have greater than or equals to, we have equals to, and we have not equals to, right? I remember that. Right, so those are conditional operators, right? Conditional operators. Please don't mix them up. For logical functions are basically if statements. If statement is a statement that checks a logical expression. Takes a logical test to see if it evaluates to true or not, right? And we expand that. We expand the if statement by using what? By using the and or statement to consider or do a logical test on two or more to do a test on two or more logical tests, right? That is what you have in that scenario, right? We also even in Excel, we have what we call if error, right? If error basically is saying that if this evaluates to an error, right, return a particular value for it, right? If error, then we now have what we call we have looked at this in in R, but it also appears here. Now, let me explain this to you in Power BI. In Excel, your AND statement can evaluate. Now, these are the beautiful little differences between the two of them. In Excel, I want us to listen to this now. In Excel, the AND statement can test for more than two logical tests. I'll say that again. In Excel, the AND statement can do a logical test for more than two logical expressions, right? But in Power BI, the AND and OR can only test for two logical expressions. They can only test for two logical expressions, just two logical expressions, and we'll see them in example, right? Just two logical expressions, right? So if you want to now do more than two logical expressions in Power BI, right? Instead of using the AND function, this AND function, you use the double ampersand. And for the OR, you use what? The double pipe, right? Use the double ampersand and the double pipe, right? The double ampersand is your AND function that allows you to use multiple logical expressions in your logical text, right? And the same thing goes for what? Goes for OR, right? Goes for OR. Now, let's see an example of how to use these guys. Let's see an example of how to use these guys, right? Now, this time around, we're going to go into the customer table. Are you following me? Go into the customer table. Let's go into the data view. Now move into the customer table. All right. So in the customer table, we have two expressions to look at, hopefully. All right. Can you remember that we've run a okay, good, right? We ran this when we were working with when we're transforming the table, right? We generated the income level using the annual income column to know their income levels, right? We'll do another one. Then we'll also do work on parents, right? We want to create a statement. So our business case is right. Our business case is, let's write our first business case here. All right. Right. So we want to create a column called parents to evaluate, to determine which of the customers are parents and which are not, right? So we want to use want to create a parent column on the customer table to know from the data if our customers, which of the customers are parents and which one are not, right? So in this situation, what do you think we're going to do? A calculated column or a measure? Look and try. Are we using a calculated column or a measure?
Mr. Sean, please, can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
see the business case? Sorry, I was writing, but I've not been able to. Thank you, sir.
All right, who can try? In this situation, are we using a calculated? Are we using a calculated measure? I mean, a calculated column or a measure?
A calculated column.
Calculated column.
Exactly. We're using a calculated column. Reason being that this has to be evaluated for each row. This expression, this business case has to be evaluated for each row, right? So we're doing a calculated column for them. All right, can I continue? All right, so.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm just going to right click on the table or anywhere on the data. All right, I'm going to go to calculated column. So new column now, that's what we have there. New column. I'm building this new column. I'm building expression on the column based on what's the total children, the total number of children that the customer has, right? So I'm going to say parents, right? Parents is the name of the column we're asked to create, right? So we're going to create parents to say that if statement now, right? If, right? If, what's the name of the column now? If total children, right? Can you see total children from customers, right, is greater than 0, what should be our true value? Yes, the person is a parent, yes. If not, no. Are we there? Can you see? So we say if what? If the total children is greater than 0, then the person is a parent. If not, no, right? So no means that the person is not a parent, right? So if we run that, why we have a new column called parents. Can you see? Parents, right? And let's bring this close to in a moment. All right. So if you see this, all right, so you could see that, yeah, 2, yes. So for all the parents that we have here, right, you see that they are all what? They are all parents. But if you go back into the data, right, you see that some of them are not parents. We should have some level of no's there. Let's check. Yes, we have some no's, right? So we can see that we have some no's in that situation. Yes, people who do not have children. Can you see? No, no, no. Right? So that is a calculated column. I hope you're learning how to use data analysis expression. You see that they are not really different from what we have in Excel, right? Let me know if you understand that before we create the next one. Can I continue?
Yes, sir.
We want to create another column called, even though we have the column already, but I want to show you how to use data analysis expression. We use the transform if conditional wizard to create it then. But this time around, we want to use data analysis expression to create it, right? Which is also the column called the income what? Income level. Right? I'm going to call this income level underscore CC so that we know it's the calculated column, right? Income level underscore CC, right? Now, what is our expression? We're saying that if the salary is greater than, what now? If the salary is greater than 150, greater than or equals to 150,000, right? It means the person earns high, right? Very high. Yes, very high. And if the salary is, if the annual income, is greater than or equal to 100,000, it means it is high. If it is greater than 50,000, let me write the expression out now so that we, right? So the next business case is rate the annual income for individual customers using the following metric. High income level, very high, for annual income greater than or equals to 150,000.
You can see the screen is actually.
Right, this one we're using I greater than or equals to 100,000. Here we're saying average annual income greater than or equals to 50,000, and everybody who earns more than 50,000 is low, right? So that's our business case. And give us 30 seconds to get to jot it down. Let me know when I can proceed. Can I continue?
Sorry, I'm still writing. Sorry, I'm.
All right, that's fine.
I'm through, sir. I'm done now.
Can I continue now? Can I continue?
Yes, sir.
All right. So income level would be if. Now remember I told you that was if statement. So if I say if and, right, that's what we have, right? Look at it. That's what we have in Excel. If and. Look at the number of expressions that we have to evaluate. 1, 2, 3, 4 expressions. We have to evaluate 4 expressions. But look at what and is telling us. And is saying that I can only take in words, 2 logical tests. So and would not be able to do what we needed to do in this situation, right? So what do? We change it to what? To the ampersand. So ampersand is going to come in. So we're going to say if annual income, right, is greater than or equals to, right, 15,000, 150,000, right, return what? Very high, right? Comma, double ampersand now, and now it's not and we're using here, we're using or, right? If annual income again if annual income greater than or equals to 100,000, right? What should we return? We're returning what? I. Now we're following. If annual income is greater than or equals to 50,000, return what now? Average Else, what are we returning? Please help me mute your mic for returning low. That's the last expression there. That's the last expression there. So if we run this, what do we have? Right, we've used data analysis expression to generate a new column called, right, can you see? Called income level. Can you see average, high, low, and very high? Right, so that is how to use. So I want to believe that by now we know the difference between measures and calculated columns. Do we understand this? Please let me know. If we understood this, let me know. Let me know. Do you understand this? We're too silent. What's happening?
Yes, sir.
Sir, please throw more light on this. So
Mr. Chu,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
noticed you talked about using the and or like you said. I mean, I don't know. You said when you wanted to use
Yes.
more than the
Yes.
sign,
I would.
and then you use it again. And you
Well, what I created here is a nested statement, right?
yes.
What that means. Right. What we created here is a nested if statement, right? I'm going to give another example where we can use the and or, right? But this is a nested if statement, right? That we created here, right? Don't mind me. Do you understand now?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Where should I throw more light to, please?
on this particular one you did now.
Okay. This is I don't think this should be anybody's problem because we've done this extensively in Excel. All right. If this is a nested if statement, right? We've done this more than one time. I think, in fact, we wrote the longest nested if statement, about 42 nested if statement, if you can remember, in class. Right. So this is a nested if statement that's just writes a nested a if statement as a false value for a particular if statement. So if you look at it, it's saying that if annual income is greater than or equals to 150,000, give it very high. But what is supposed to come after the very high is supposed to be a false value, right? But we're now using another if statement as a false value, right? Until we get to the last condition where we now supply what's the actual false value, right? So this is, with respect to this if statement, this is the false value for that if statement. And to respect to this if statement, this is the false value for its own if statement. And then we now have the false value here. So basically, it's just a nested if statement that we have there. Nothing special. Are we there? Can I continue? Don't worry.
Mr. Shino.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Shino. Did you use and or true?
No, I didn't use and at all. I'm going to write a statement that.
About to ask, because I didn't see the ampersand something there.
No, I'll do another example to show that.
Okay.
Okay, because they're so tiny we can't see. I can't see what you used.
Jesus, so hold on. Okay, let me copy this out so that we can. Okay, hold on. All right, this will just slow our system down. Can you see it now?
Yes, it's better.
Well, might not be able to see it for long because it just disorient everything, right? So Are we good now?
Yes, we are, sir. Well done.
Can I move on?
Please, Mr. Shen, which view are you using?
I'm using the magnifier now. Okay, in the analysis.
Yes, that so that you know
I'm
where
in
you are.
I'm in the data view.
Data view. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, but my own that formula area is not responding. It's just I can't put anything there. Maybe I haven't selected it.
No. You have to. Have you clicked on creating? Have you clicked on creating a new column?
No, I've not. Okay. I have to. Okay.
All right. All right. Well, lastly, before we take a break, our talk break, I want to create one more column. I want to create one more column. And this column is basically we want to know my what's it called now? Using the calendar table. Coming. Let me see my calendar table. Okay, we'll come back to that. I want to create a weekend column on that, right? But we'll start that after come back from the break, right? We'll talk about that later. All right, so once we create another measure, right? Just trying to help us understand distance, right? And also help us understand the data that we have, right? Let's go to the return table, right? We have a table called the returns table, right? The returns table, right? In the returns table, we have the return date, we have the territory, we have the product that was returned, that's the product key that was returned, and the return quantity. So we want to know the total sum of what? We want to know the total sum of all that was returned, right? We want to know the total sum of all that was returned. We want to know the total sum of all that was returned, or everything that was returned. How many are they? That's basically what we want to do. So in this situation, are we using a calculated column or a measure?
It's calculated tables.
Please, can you ask the question again? I didn't get it.
We have a return. We have a column called return quantity, and we want to know the total sum, or the sum basically of the return quantity. What was returned? How many of the products bought was returned? Right? Okay. How do we calculate that? Are we using a calculated column or a measure?
Measure.
Measured.
We're using a measure. So we're just going to right click on that and create a measure. Right, click on that and create a measure. Right, so we're going to call that measure quantity returned. Right, equals to the sum of what now? The return what? Return quantity. Can you see? Sum of return quantity. Right, we close that bracket. We have a measure created. Right, so let's go back to the data view. All right, so we're back to the data view. Let me use this product matrix. Right, so from the product matrix that we have, let me remove this filter. Right, I have the product name, I have the total quantity ordered. Yes, total quantity ordered. I'm going to remove these. Then I'm going to look for that measure that we just created in the returns table. Right, we want to see the quantity returned. Right, can you see the quantity returned is what? So we have what? Total quantity bought or ordered is 84,174. But out of that, right, you can see that 1,828 items were returned, right? And you can see the breakdown of the return by what? By product name, right? You can see. So now to give more details to this now, let me put this on the focus now. Right, I want you to pay attention now. Right, we can now do what we call a drill down on the data to know more about it. Right, so I'm going to bring in we have the product name already. Right, I want to bring in the subcategory name. Right, can you see the subcategory name? And I want to bring in the category name as well. Right, so now I'm doing some sort of hierarchy analysis on that data. Right, can you see what I'm doing? I hope you're paying attention. Right, so you can see that this report now is generated from what? How many tables now? 5 tables. That is the essence of your model. That is the essence of the model. I'm generating this report based on what? Based on attributes from what? From 5 different tables, right? 5 different tables, right? So what do you have there, right? So now we have category. We have the analysis based on what? Based on category. Category name, the total ordered quantity, and the total quantity returned. Can you see? So we can see a breakdown by category. We can see a breakdown by category, right? We can see a breakdown by category, right? We can do a drill down. Now, if you look at my report, right, you will see, let me show you before I move into the Zoom stage, right? Can you see? Now, because I have multiple drill down rows, right? Multiple columns, or multiple attributes in my column, right? And stacked in a hierarchical manner, right? It gave me the options to be able to drill down, right? Can you see these arrows here? Can you see them? Can you see these arrows? Right. The first arrow says that this is your drill up. Then it says click to turn on drill down. Right. Then go to the next level in the hierarchy. Then go to expand all down one level in the hierarchy. Right. So let's expand. Let's go to focus view. Right. So you have them here. Right. So if I click on that, my drill down is on. Right. So I can go down one level. Can you see? I'm going down one level. So I can see that inside accessory, right, what we have is bike racks, bike stand, bottles and cages, cleaners, fenders, helmets, hydration packs, tires, and tubes. Then bikes, we have mountain bikes, we have road bikes, we have touring bikes, then we have clothing, we have caps, we have gloves, we have jerseys, we have shorts, we have socks, and we have vests, right? So you can see these are the category. But here, what you have here are the subcategories inside of that, right? So if we click on the drill down again, right, what happens? Can you see? It now expands everything based on what? On all the products, right? Can you see? On all the products. So this is a more detailed analysis. I hope you are following me, right? You can see because why? How did we get into that? We're able to what? To stack our what? Our product now. Remember that we created all of these were linked together by what? By a star, what? By a snowflake, right? So we have this snowflake, right, in good use now. Are you following me? We have the snowflake in what? In good use now. So basically, that is what we have here, right? So now I'm using that snowflake to what? To perform my analysis. I can drill up, right? I can drill up again and back to normal, right? But so you can see that this is a measured what? This is a measured column. Right? This is a measured column. And this column gives us more details on what was returned based on what? Based on what was sold, right? Are you following me? Are you following me? Please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Right. So a whole lot of analysis can be done based on what? Based on this table, right? Based on these relationships, right? We can go on and on and on, right? But I'll give our guest speaker time. I hope she has logged in. If she has not logged in, just give me a minute to reach out to her. She's not here yet. Let me reach out to her, please. Just give me 2-3 minutes. Let me reach out to her to log in. To Madam Angela, your hand is raised. Do you want to say something?
No, sir.
All right. All right. So just give me some 2-3 minutes while I bring in our guest speaker, right? So that we can, like I said, we're wrapping up the training gradually, right? But I just want us to be able to do this today so that by next class, we'll just wrap up, do a bit of Git, then we'll call it a day, right? We'll call it a day. Then we'll be, by then, I know that we'll be dealing with projects on both the SQL end and the Power BI end, because we're doing projects on both of them, right? Don't worry, I'm available for guidance, so you're not left behind, right? Will not leave you behind. Right, so just give me some minutes. Let me just reach out to her, please, so that she can join. Thank you. Don't leave the class, so please. Thank you. Hello, Eniola. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
It's really good to see your face.
I'm so glad to
How
be
are
here.
you? It's
Good
been a
evening.
while.
Yeah, I've
Welcome.
been very
Welcome.
excited. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Welcome. I'm
Thank
going to hand over to our programs manager. She's going to take it over from
right.
here. Elizabeth, yeah, she's going to take it over from here. Please help me welcome Eniola, Madam Eniola. Help me welcome her. Everyone, let's give her a warm welcome. Let's give her a warm welcome. Say hi to her. Say hi to her. See her beautiful
Hi.
face. It's been a while.
You're welcome. Good
Thank
evening.
you.
You're welcome. We're
you.
happy to have you here.
Welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here. Thank
you.
you.
Well,
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you speak louder, Elizabeth? Can hear you.
Good evening, everybody. Interestingly, this is the first time I'm joining this class. I'm so sorry, everyone. I ought to have joined at least once in a while to say hello to everybody. I'm Elizabeth Babatunde. I'm the programs director for Avita. I'm sure that I've spoken to each one of us at one point or the other before the program started. So today is our career day of sorts. So usually what we do in Avita is to, beyond just teaching you or training you in this specific course, we also want to help you to start using what you have learned meaningfully, right? And part of how we do that is to invite experts at one point or the other during your program to speak to you. Now you can engage the market, how you can engage the tech community to be able to utilize what you've learned and to make money too in the long run and make progress. So this evening, we're just going to do a very short session. We have with us Mrs. Eniola Ikpola. Okay, I shared secret. I already shared your new surname with them before you go back to me. So she's going to be speaking to us for some few minutes, and then we're also going to be asking her questions. So please be open-minded. Mrs. Eniola is a versatile developer, and she's a versatile mentor, which is very critical for us, really. So please let's utilize this opportunity as much as we can. Thank you so much. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. Actually, this is it's going to be quite interactive, and I'm going to ask some questions as we go along the way. I hope I'm very audible and everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so today, thank you. I said today I'm going to be talking about building your career in tech from ground up. All of us being here, completing this course, you've taken the first step, and I'm just going to be talking about how you can continue from here, what you should pay attention to, what you should give your time to, and how you can probably ace your first job or go into business with your skill and all of that. So from my experience so far, I'm going to be talking about that, and in the process, we'll talk about you defining your niche. We'll talk about what is next after learning. Okay, I've learned the skill. What do I want to do next? What do I do next? How do I progress from here? Then we'll talk about the job market, the tech job market. What's the market like? How do you get a slot in the market? Then we'll talk about standing out. You really need to stand out and how you can go about that. They'll have questions and answer. And basically, that's going to be the summary of my conversation. So to introduce myself, I am Eniola Ikpola, and I'm an Android engineer at Identus. So I'm into the Android development side of things in tech. And I've been an Android developer since 2018, although my tech journey started earlier than that. And I think I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, I work full-time as a mobile developer, and that's just me. So talking about us on this call, I want to believe that we have all learned something in this course in the last couple of, I don't know how long it took, right? And you've learned skill there. So that's telling me that number one, you've identified what part of technology you want to go into, and that's why you've chosen this data field. And I learned that like you've gone through classes on Power BI, SQL to just like learn about this particular thing, right? And so briefly, how has been the learning experience for us? What do you think about the learning experience? Has it been awesome? Do you feel confused at some point? Do you feel like tired and like I don't know this thing at some point? Just general feedback. How has the learning experience been for you? Does anyone want to talk about it?
It has been awesome having Mr. Shem as our teacher. He's a very wonderful teacher, and we've learned a lot. Although sometimes we get confused, I get lost sometimes, but I'm progressing. Hope is rising, so there is hope, definitely. This has been a very wonderful journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback. So basically, I think after learning, the next thing, number one, there are some things you have to take out of here. Consistency is very important in this journey, like to build on the career and having like something worthwhile in after all the investment. I know we've all invested time, we've invested like our hours, because basically that is it, sitting at the system and ensuring that we understand this thing. Now, what are the benefits of consistency? The thing is, outside of this course, everything you have learned, you still need to continue. And learning doesn't end. It doesn't stop at this point because basically the idea would be, it depends on what you want to do from here actually. If my goal is to, get solid in this skill and get a job, probably I'm looking for an internship role, right? The first idea would be everything that you've learned, right? You need to be able to bring it together to build something that you can use as this is what I have, that you can show to clients or show to employers as and that as something that encompasses all your like knowledge, all the knowledge you've gained so far. So number one, consistency is there. Like it doesn't stop from here. Learning never stops. It doesn't stop from those cohorts and what we've learned here, right? The next step would be building a portfolio. What is a portfolio? Oh, we've learned how to use these tools. See, all those things you've learned, they are just tools, basically. The idea would be, as an employer expects, like, I want to value for the money I want to pay you. So the first step would be, how do I scale this interview to be able to tell this employer that I can actually give value for the money I'm going to get in return as payment. Do you understand? So I would always encourage that, like, do things with the skills you've learned. Like, I have learned Power BI to probably analyze data and do the visualization of the data, right? Why don't I take like a general data set or get a data set and use what I've learned on my own to try and go through all the data processes, like data cleaning to visualization to wrangling and all of that. I really don't know much about Power BI, but I have like little knowledge with like the data science part of things. And I hope that that like relates to what we've learned or something we are working on, right? So basically, if you have like a data set that you've been able to apply the things you learned in class on your own. Now, note it on your own. Now, there are two benefits from the consistency. Number one, you hone your skill better. Like, okay, Mr. Shon taught us this thing in class, but now trying to do it by myself, it will not be easy because you might run into bugs, you might run into issues, you might run into errors. And when you run into all those issues, you want to reach out to someone or do research on the internet to fix the issues, right? But in the process of fixing the issue, you can't make that mistake again because you have already learned how to resolve such mistake. So you are building your skill more, right? And at the same time, building a project, that, oh, let an interview come right now. I can say this is what I have built, and I can use that as the interview as what I have, what I know. Do you get? Now let's talk about, what about people that don't want to like get a role? Like, I just want to freelance. Freelancing, there is another option of freelancing where you actually meet clients. They tell you this is what we want you to do, and you do the job for them. This client too, they want to be sure that this thing you want to do, you can actually do it. And the way to show this is from showing them what you have done. So in essence, I'm saying that outside of the class, outside of what you've learned, please, in your personal time, find time to use what you've learned to do something, to build something. Now, I'm assuming that we've all identified our niche. Like, you've identified that this is where I want to do. I want to apply the skill. This is how I want to apply it. If we've not done that, I think it is very important that we do that. Like, oh, this is the skill I've learned. You know, people even do, oh, I want to stay in this domain. I'm not leaving this domain, and I want to get depth in this domain. And this has benefits because you gain so much in that domain that you become like a superstar in that domain. When they're talking about that domain, they remember you. So that's one thing that I wrote down here on my notes, that you need to build a portfolio from what you've learned, from the skills you've gathered in the course. But the idea is you have to be able to do it without help. So until you get to the point where you can build these things without help, then there is still learning to do. That's why I said learning actually doesn't stop. Even for me at this level, I still learn from day to day. Like, I still take courses, I still buy courses, and I still like use these courses to upgrade my skills. So that is one thing that we need to like pay attention to. So majorly, what's next after learning is still learning more. Like, learning more, but not just learning. There is a mistake that newbies usually do, is that they just learn, and they learn, and in the process of learning, like, you know, I just download this tutorial and I'm watching it for 10 hours without doing anything. Don't just watch. Do as you watch. Do as you practice, as you learn. And the skill, actually, like the knowledge, comes from doing it over and over again. You can't do something like, you can't analyze the data sets. Like, you can't analyze 4 different data sets that have different issues. Probably you cleaned different things, you did different visualizations. By the time you are done and you look at the 4 projects, you realize that I've actually gained a lot more than you have done if I had done 1 or if I had done 2. So please, I don't want us to give up on learning. I know that it is hard, it takes time, it takes resources, but then it is still the pathway to actually making influence. It's the basic thing, the basic ingredients for building our career. And yeah, I pray God will help us as we all go along and all. So I'll be talking about interview processes, how to like look out for what to look out for when you're like trying to interview and all of that. And also, like, I'm very, very conscious of time, and I'll just quickly go through it, right? Now, when it comes to interviews, what I used to advise is, number 1, do not see, no company is doing you a favor. As much as I need a job for you to pay me, I want to be sure too that I am in the right place. I don't want to go to a place that would look down on my skill. I don't want to go to a place that my skill will not be appreciated. So as much as I am interviewing the company as well. That means that you choose the companies wisely. Look at places where you can have growth. Look at places where, oh, even though I am a newbie here, do you have plans for growth for me? Am I going to grow here? Am I going to get more knowledge here? Will this, with the skills I get here, will it be relevant to my field and all of that? So I used to say that, like, you should actually choose your employer well. Don't just randomly be desperate and apply to anything you give me. I'm going to work on it. There is a place of perseverance, I agree. But the idea is, even if I'm going to persevere and learn, I must be sure that I can grow with you. I don't know if anybody like has intentions of going into freelancing as well. I think for freelancing, you're going to like gain the experience as you go, like freelancing or business. You go gain the experience as you go and things like that. Now you have identified a company that you think, oh, they need my skill. The tools I've learned, the things I've learned, they need my skill. How do I approach them? How do I reach out? I think basically check their websites, their LinkedIn profile. Do they have openings? And when you check openings, check out for the job description. What does this job require, right? If you don't meet 100%, please don't back out. You don't have to meet 100% of the requirements before you apply. Even if you meet 40-45%, still apply. It is very important because number one, interview processes you learn along the journey. Number two, you never can tell why you like subcharging yourself when you feel like you just like live, like you've counted yourself out. Do you get? So why not give it a shot in the first place? But before giving it a shot, identify the job descriptions, tailor your resume to meet like the intended requirements. Not like you're like building a resume for each organization or each job you're trying to apply to, no, but like majorly the skills they want. On a scan through your resume, they should be able to see it because that is what would even prompt them to reach out to you to say, oh, hello, we saw your CV and would like to have a conversation with you. Please, when you go into the interviews, be very confident. You have this. Do not look down on yourself. Don't say, oh, I'm just a beginner. Yes, I'm a beginner, but I've worked on ABC. I have learned ABC. I understand this. I did this on this, and this is what I know. If they ask you questions, there are things you really don't know much about. Oh, I can research about it, and I'll get back to you. Right now, I've not heard of that or something related. So really, it is very important that you build your resume to like attract the company. It's very important that you remain professional. It's very important that you focus on your strengths. When they say talk about yourself, focus on your strengths. Tell them how awesome you are. Tell them your soft skills, and like it is really exciting. Now, for you can't do it all alone. There is a part of community, and community is very important because like when you are in a community, number one, you have access to information more, you have access to resources, you know what is going on in that domain. Okay, so for myself in Android, if I check like my Twitter, my LinkedIn, I follow like 80% or let's say 65% of my following are people that are doing Android. If something new comes out in Android today, before I get notification on probably via email or documentations, I've seen it online. Somebody has talked about it. Somebody has criticized it. So when someone is criticizing it, I'm looking out, oh, this is what they are talking about. Oh, then I'll be like, oh, did this thing just come out? So let me check it up. That is one of the advantages of community. Now, apart from having a general, so how do you have a general community? Keep your online profile to be tailored to your community. I mean, not social profile now, like your LinkedIn and your Twitter, most especially. These two platforms, they have like tech communities in your domain, in your skill, right? Why not look for somebody top there that you really look forward to and like connect with the person, connect with these people, have converse, not with watch what they write about. Watch what they write about, read what they write about. You realize that you are always conscious, or you're always aware of what they are discussing, and that's how you know when something new comes out. That's how you know when something great comes out, and all of that. You are not left out of the conversation. Now, I think that you should also like have yourself as community. Like, if I am in this class and there is Mr. Anu that is also a class member, and I feel like, oh, Mr. Anu, oh, now outside of this cohort, I am working on something and I need help. I'll just think about if I had connected with some of my classmates, I can easily reach out, or even on the class page, because I believe that the class page would still exist even after this course, right? Oh, I'm trying to resolve this. Can anybody help me out? That's another advantage of community. When you are stuck, you have people to ask questions that would intentionally sit down and help you through the problem, or you debug things together. This is an advantage of community that we cannot overlook. I've had problems even in my current job that I would call my previous boss that we both left the job and say, oh, I'm having this issue, and I'm like, please, can you walk me through it? I'll just say, oh, come on, let's just check it out. I'll check it out together. We share knowledge, we share experience, and we're like, oh, if most times we find a solution or we see what the problem is. Nobody is like the only alpha and omega of knowledge. We can all learn from ourselves. So it is really important that you have people around you. You have like good people that you can always count on when you are stuck, so that you never get stuck for long and all of that. So that is one thing I also like to talk about. So basically, I've talked about like getting your job, getting like trying to get into interviews and like doing the basics to get an interview for yourself. I've talked about like communities and collaborations, basically. Now, finally, I'm going to be saying that nothing is hard. There's nothing you cannot do. Basically, if you put in your time, your energy, and you're consistent, that consistency is very important. Like, it is very, very important, because I think we get better at what we devote our time to. Like for me now, I've been an Android engineer for over 5 years, and I'm confident to say, oh, this is what you want to build. Then just go through the requirements and say, oh, I can jump on it and get right into it. It's because like over time, I've worked on this, and, you know, what I've done like consistently for 5 years, like if you wake me up in the midnight, I'll be able to do it, right? So please do not ever get frustrated. It can be frustrating and tiring, but you know, we just keep encouraging ourselves and we keep pushing, because until we get to what we want, we don't back down and all of that. And when you are tired or frustrated, talk to someone. That's part of the advantages of the community around you. I have a friend I can just rant to. Oh, work is stressing me. This is happening. Oh, this bug is stressing me. I have friends that can rant to casually. They're not even technical oriented, like they're not technical in my field, but they can just hear me out. And after venting out, I go back to my task and I can resolve it. I think basically I'm going to be living in that so that I can take questions and we'll be able to discuss it again and all of that. So basically that is it from me. Thank you so much. I'm checking my time and I'm trying to ensure that I don't like go over time. So I am very, very like happy to take your questions right now.
Thank you so much, Mom. Please, can we have questions? Questions. You can just unmute or raise up your hand if someone is still talking and ask your question. Hello, can anybody hear me? Okay. Okay, I have Mrs. Olai. Please go ahead.
Yes, I just want to ask if you can list some of the communities you think we can join. Thank you.
Data related communities, right? I'm going to basically, I may not get like a particular community for you, right? But I can get like people in your field that I think if they have like good content based on what you are currently learning, and share with Mrs. Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic. And once I get that, I'll share that with the class. Yeah. I think maybe you could just mention towards general tech communities that people can also join. Because I know
general tech communities. I think currently I know about She Code Africa, but She Code Africa is for women. People from different aspects of tech, like software engineering, data engineering, and also even cloud engineering and all. They do mentorship programs, they do scholarships, they do like balloting for laptops and the likes. So I think that is one community that also like I know about basically. But then yeah, basically that's one community I can talk about right now. I really don't know much about others.
Sorry, what do you call the name again?
She Code Africa. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, I think there's another one you could also join. Let me add that. More techies. More techies, that's the name. I'll find it's Telegram based. I'll share it with the group. Okay, do we have any other question? Questions. Okay. Professor Akimanji, please go ahead now.
Thank you very much for talking to us, and we really appreciate it. You've made a lot of very good points. I want to find out a little bit about freelancing more. If someone wants to go into that, you have actually talked about various things that you said, but like, okay, one wants to start. How do we start? Then about, I don't like putting the issue of money first, but like how much would one charge, and then how do we do it? That kind of thing. Because I don't.
All right. Thank you so much for the question. So about freelancing, I know about this particular platform, Fiverr, and what's the name of the second one? I escaped my mind. Upwork, yes, Upwork. So Upwork is an online platform where like people say, oh, I have this thing I want somebody to build for me, right? And you can apply to build the stuff, and the client will now pay that platform, and that platform will eventually pay you, and the client can rate you, and you too can rate the client. Do you understand? Now Upwork, they pay in dollars. I think even the tasks are in dollars, from as low as $5 to as high as $5,000, $10,000, and the likes. The thing I know about Upwork is because I have a couple of friends that do freelancing on Upwork. If you decide to join Upwork and do freelancing on them, you need to build your reputation on that platform. They have like systems that they use to build like a developer's reputation. Not developer, even like it's something even as basic as writing. There are different freelancing tasks, right? So if I apply to a $5 job and I deliver, and the client likes what I do or what I did for him, the client would rate me. I applied to another $5 job. I applied to another $10 job. And that's how like you go high to the point of seeing clients like take your proposal for doing like a $500 job or to doing like a $1,500 job and all of that. So if you want to do freelancing, I'm going to say number one, Upwork is an opportunity, is one that you can look up and see if it works for you. And just check. When you check, just check like tasks that people are requesting for that relates to your field. And that is it about that. The other aspect of freelancing that I know about is like word of mouth. Oh, I'm at work and somebody called me that, oh, hi, Eniola, I have a side project for you to work on. Can you please do this for me? And basically that is another way to get like project. And the idea is once you get the first referral, if somebody referred you to do a job and you do it well, they'll always come back or they'll always tell someone about it. So like you doing a good job goes a long way and people keep coming to you, right? Now, talking about pay intake, most times, if it is a job, it's different, and if it's a freelance, it is different. For a job, majorly the idea is when they ask you how much do you want to earn, throw the question back at them. Do not tell them. But before you go for the interview, please research what is the average salary for this role that I'm chasing in this country. Number one, when you have that at the back of your mind, you know that, okay, if the average salary is 100,000, then okay, I should. But then I ask you, oh, we want to, so what are you looking for also? I'll respond and tell them, well, I know you have something in mind for your role, which is actually usually true. And why don't you make me an offer and I'm going to review it. So that way, I'm not giving a fixed price, because the dilemma of giving a fixed price is, number one, the price I'm giving might be way higher than their budget, and they'll be like, let's cut this one out. We can't meet up with it. Or I'm subcharging myself, or way lower than what they budgeted, and they'll just see it as, oh, this is a chance to just collect it. Like, let's say they budgeted 120 and I said, oh, pay me 70,000. That means I've lost 50K. Not all companies will come out plain and say, oh, I'll still give you the 120 that we budgeted for the role. So it's always like kind of dicey. But usually, initially, it is better not to give them a price. When they now make an offer and you feel like, oh, this is lower than my expectations, then you tell them and renegotiate, oh, this is actually lower than my expectation. Why don't you help and add something? One thing to be please don't fall victim of, don't let anybody guilt trip you into collecting a pay that would not work for you. I was in an interview in 2018 and I requested for, I think, 120,000 then. Then the HR asked me how much, why do I want 120K fresh out of school? I said, oh, I'm coming from Igondo side to Ikeja, and that is a lot of money on transportation already. And the HR said, we have somebody coming from that side in our company, and they've been working with us for 4 years. And because of that, and they don't anyone 20,000. And I just kept quiet because I was timid. And in the real sense, these people decided to collect it. These people are not in tech, they're not in my field. I could have negotiated better, but I just felt like, oh, it is reasonable, right? And I was like, okay, I just kept quiet. In fact, at that instant, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to respond to what he said and all of that. And I had to like take that salary for like maybe 7-8 months before review came in and all of that. So one thing I would say is, please, when you're negotiating pay, just be confident. I know it is hard, like when you're just starting out, because you'll be like, oh, what if they don't want to give me the job and all of that? But still be confident. Try to throw the question back at them if it is a job. If it is a freelancing role, usually pay is calculated based on how long am I going to spend on this job, and what is the reasonable thing, like, let me just be considerate, what's the reasonable price to put on it? Because if I'll be doing a 1-year project, it does not make sense for me to take 70,000 for it, because the number of hours I'll be spending is a whole lot. So like basically it's usually calculated like, oh, this is how long it will actually take me to complete this job. So let me just look at what's like the reasonable price to cover for this duration and all. But as you go along on the journey, actually, negotiating gets better. As you get more confident in your skill, you get more confident to ask for the amount you want. So basically, that's what I can say about prices. I hope I really answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Do I have any questions for him?
Thank you so much. Any other question? I'm not seeing any hands.
We are good.
Ma'am, do you have any question for them?
Okay, I think basically my question would be, sincerely, like after completing this course, what do you have in mind? Like, can somebody just share, like, what do you have in mind? Like, what's next? What do you plan in mind? Or do you just want to go back to what you were doing? I don't know, like probably just want to just leave it for now and do something else or something like, what do you actually have in mind to do from here? Are you motivated to like go further, something like that? Do you have plans that you need help with, something like that?
Okay. And let's take two hands, please, to answer, respond to our facilitator. Before I mention it, okay, thank you so much, ma. Please go ahead, ma.
Well, you know, when you were talking to us, you mentioned that we needed a portfolio, that kind of thing. You know, our teacher has been simply wonderful. And so if you go by, the things that we've been taught and so on, all that we've learned a lot. I have been here since July last year. So July this year, 17, will be exactly 1 year that I started. But then, I think it would help me to, after a while, to sit down and then put together all that I have learned. And you said it is important to have a portfolio, something we can show that, this are what I've done. So I plan that, listening to you, to be able to sit down and work on something that I can show, that I can say with confidence that I've been through data analytics. I am still learning it though, but this and this are the kind of things I can do. And then I would like to actually see what I can do in freelancing. I'm kind of older than several members of the class. I'm retired, and so maybe working in employment might not be it for me. I'm not sure how many companies would want to hire someone of my age, but then I could, with experience from before and from my work life, and then plus the things I've learned, I'm sure that I should be able to add value to whatever kind of jobs I get. But I need to put together what I know, what I've learned now, so that I can look at it and talk with, confidently. Thank you so very much.
That's so amazing.
That's
amazing. Thank you, Ma.
all right. Any other hand so that we can quickly round up? One more person and we're good. Where are all the uncles in this class? Let me look for somebody to call. Is Mr. Chukwebuka there? Is he?
Yes.
Okay, someone wants to speak. Please go ahead.
Yes, I just want to add to what that mommy said. Many people in the class, the one that we have discussed, many people want to japa and look for, greener pasture. And also, or even if they still want to be in Nigeria, they are looking at working for, just that freelance to me is, when you mention 120,000, I shout Mugbe because the 120,000 cannot do anything for me. So, and you say you are going from on my dining without going to work. I can show you. I think that freelance is the best. And for the younger ones, they can start somewhere. But for other people that already have 1 or 2, 3 businesses they are doing,
exactly.
So you understand?
Yeah, I get it.
Thank you,
all
Ma.
right.
Thank you, Ma.
I think from your feedback, I'm going to say something before I leave. That was 2018. And if I'm very frank with you right now, per month, I'm not going to say a figure. I'm just going to give a range of what I earn. I earn between $4,000 to $6,000 per month. And I've been working from home since 2020. So I understand what you're saying. I think for older people in the class that they have responsibilities, sometimes somebody have gone from employment in corporate organizations where probably they were even earning 600,000, right? And all, and you want to switch into technology. For those category of people, I advise that you don't even look into Nigerian organizations. And I have a use case. I had a friend that was working as an accountant in a company in Nigeria, and it was earning about 600,000. He got married, he has a wife and all, and he wanted to switch into Android engineering. And when working on switching, I told him point blank, If you are coming as a junior dev in 200 engineering, Nigerian organization we offer you 100,000, 150,000 naira. That is lower than what you earn, and you have responsibilities that what you earn currently actually like is par to par with. So you can't go for that. I told him research into foreign companies that want to, like they do remote, like they want you to work remotely, and they have better pay plan, to be candid. My organization is in Canada. I work from Nigeria. I work their time. I do my job and all of that. I went through the interview process. Fine. Getting the job, the first job might be hard, but afterwards it is easier. I think that would fit into what majority of us in this class like are looking forward to. You don't look, please do not look forward to Nigerian organizations, because if you're even entering, if you get a role for internship with some of these organizations, you can start with as much as $1,000 or as much as $750, $1,000, and that is like standard. So I would say that, please, for mommies, for daddies in the house, just don't look at Nigerian organizations. Look at remote organizations abroad. The interview process and getting your first job might be hard, pull through, but once you get the first one, it gets better from there. It really gets better from there. So I think that's what I would say about that. So don't be scared about the 120,000 I said. That was 2018, and then, yeah, basically.
It's okay.
You are a darling.
Yeah.
Hey, Mama, I hear better.
Better, bro.
You know, Angela, and I like
Oh my
money.
God.
So I know you know go like
money.
You,
Actually,
Thank you
the
so
ground
much.
is very big. The sky is very big. There is a lot. The sky is very big.
Mhm. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma. Thank you,
Maximilian.
ma.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Blessed to have you
Ella,
this
thank you
morning.
so much.
Thank
I'm
you so much for
grateful.
having me, sir.
Top up for you.
Mr.
Thank
Shaw,
you.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes,
Hand
ma'am.
over to Mr. Shona.
All right.
You
Thank
guys
you.
know.
Enila, I'll reach out to you once I'm done. Thank you so much.
All right. No problem, sir. Yes, sir.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for
Bye bye,
coming.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for coming. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Mr. Shaw.
Talk to me.
I want to say something, I beg. For most of our classmates, I have a very great opportunities for them. So there's one university, one business school like that in Luxembourg. So they are admitting people.
Luxembourg.
Yeah. So both in masters and certificate courses. So for
Can you share a link?
masters,
Can you share a link on the group?
yes, I will. But the issue is that, hello,
Can hear you.
there is a particular NGO, one organization that is taking up this thing. So it's under scholarship.
Okay.
You understand? So for those people that want to go for masters, so that masters is under scholarship too. And you must visit Luxembourg before you graduate.
Okay.
So,
it's an online program.
yes, but if you are going
You
for
have to go before you
masters,
finish.
to see your supervisor and all that, they still have for degree programs too. That one is 4 years. Then masters is 2 years. A year, 6 months.
Okay.
Then 4 months for other things. So
Can you share it?
I will share it to you later after the class. Hello.
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope we found that section very interesting. Right. You can see the highlight is that she went from 120,000 in 2018 to earning close to maybe 5,000, 6,000 in 5 years, right? And I'm glad she mentioned it. I've always said it in class that I am not training you to work in Nigeria. Never. I know it's a song, it's an anthem in my mouth. I don't train you to work in Nigeria. I used to say it, right? So, what do you say?
I say yes, so.
So exactly, and I usually share the testimonies of my earlier students who are doing well and working abroad, right? And of course, freelance is also very interesting. Freelance is interesting because of now as a company as well, we are also growing, and we were supposed to be able to embed it into the program this year, this course, but we are not done with developing the program or the course on freelancing. That's why we've not been able to add it to the program. But remember that I said I was going to teach you people programming, or I'm going to bring freelancing to you. And trust me, I'm still working on that, right? I'm working on that so that we can solidify the plan. I know that a whole lot of us might not be able to pick up. A few people, the demography is a bit mixed, right? Some people would probably have to still be able to work in organizations and pick up 9 to 5s and all that. While some people might not be able to do that because, of course, they have their own businesses they run there and they want to be able to take care of families and all that. So the freelance job would probably be more suiting for them, right? So, but one thing is very certain. If you do everything that I say, I keep saying it. I don't like saying it this way, but it's just the best way to say it, right? I'm not good. Right? If you are learning everything that I've mentioned, if you are learning from me, if you are everything that I've taught you from beginning at NIT.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
We lost you. We lost your voice at the point, sir.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now.
Please repeat what you have said.
So what I'm saying is that if you can take everything I'm saying to you, every single opportunity, every single training opportunity, every single class, every single moment that we share together, if you can learn very well and put your mind to it, right? What I can guarantee is that in 3 years, in less than 3 years, right, you'll be able to give same testimonies as Eniola, right? Truth be told, I knew Eniola when she was, I think I got to know her in 2020. Yes, I met her in 2020. And as at that time, I knew how much she was earning. She was earning less. Hello, can you hear me? Right? Can you hear me?
No, you just went off a little now. We didn't hear.
All right. So I was saying that I know Eniola when she was earning what she said she earned. I met her in 2020. That was when I met her, right? And I know when she was still a low-level developer or entry-level Android developer. Are you following me, right? When she was earning 120, 150. And because she worked directly with my wife, right? That's why we were able to bring her. They worked directly in the same company. My wife managed her as a project manager as a product manager at that time. And I know the kinds of complaints they usually talk about and say the code is not working and she was struggling and all of that. But today, she's a mid-level developer going towards a top-level developer. Are you following me? A senior level developer. And she's doing really well. She's working remote. She stays in her house and she works for an organization in Canada, right? And I know several people who have gone through that journey, right? In less than 2 years, I've been able to transition. And I remember that I've had this discussion with us in class before, right? I remember that class where we didn't have class and we're just talking about what to expect, what the journey is going to be like for several people. And I gave you a bit of example of my own journey and where I am and where I'm going to as well, right? So we're all on this journey, right? But it is you have to commit to it. That's the truth. And I like the fact that one of these commitments is that you're in this class, right? Like I said, it might look as if I want to sell things to you, but no, right? My goal is to be able to get you through that promised land, that level where you can sit comfortably in your house and earn that amount of money, right? Either as a 9-to-5er or as a freelancer, earning $6,000, $5,000 from the comfort of your house is awesome, right? And the truth is, all of these things that I'm teaching you, you probably would not use as much as all of them. But it's really good that you are learning these things. But what I want you to do is to be able to pay attention to it. Pay attention to it is very important. As we're about 14, 15 in this class, there's another cohort somewhere being trained by somebody else. There's pockets of these all over the world, right? People learning, and it's just the same set of opportunities that these set of people, all of these people, including us here, are going to be fighting for. So it now becomes the survival of the fittest. But I can assure you that, let me say, like President Buhari, I can assure you, right, that you are getting the best, right? You are getting the best. You're getting the best. All I just need you to do is to keep at it, right? Keep at it and keep learning. Don't stop, right? Keep learning everything that we have gone through. That's why the classes are recorded. Go over the videos again. Go over the videos again. Go over the videos again. There's a let me give you an example. There's a single video of Power BI, a single course of Power BI that I watched when I was learning Power BI. I still watch that video today, and I'm till today, and I've been watching that video for over 2 years. I'm not joking. I've been watching that video for over 2 years. I've finished it. I've started it multiple times, right? Just so that I can get the best out of it, so that I can be the best I can be in that technology, right? SQL, I don't know how many. I'm sure that if I put together the number of people that have taught SQL, it'll probably be over 2,000. Right? And you can imagine how many codes, how many classes I have taken in SQL. So it makes it become a part and parcel of me, right? So, and it's the same energy that I want you to give to it. It's the same thing with Excel, right? I can do a whole lot of things with Excel that a whole lot of people do not even know exist, right? And still today, I'm still learning Excel, right? I saw a course on Udemy some days ago that I want to pay for to even see what is inside of it, right? Because I think that they have some other stuff that they probably want to teach that content that they want to serve that I do not even know yet. And it's an ongoing process, right? It has to continue until when you are in that door, when you are on that seat as a data analyst. And even when you get to that seat as a data analyst, you don't stop because you want to, you want to get to the next level. Next level of maybe you entered as a entry-level developer or entry-level data analyst. You want to move to the next level of a mid-level analyst or a senior level analyst, or you want to even pivot into data science and all of that. So it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. I told you that I'm doing something on Salesforce at the moment. I am learning. It's not, I don't like to, I am learning. It's an ongoing process, right? I have Oracle, I have my Oracle data science exam to write that I've not even read for. It is an ongoing process for me. I am learning. Once this cohort finish, before I can take up another cohort in maybe three weeks or 2 weeks time, right? I need to spend time to learn so that I can have fresh information to give to them as well. So it's a journey for us, right? And I want you to be able to put yourself on that journey, right? And it would not take 5 years. I can bet it with you. It would not take 5 years. It did not take Eniola 5 years, right? Because she moved from 120,000 to probably 300 to probably 500 to probably 700. Then today she's she's in that amount of money that she is. And in another, what's it called now? Maybe in another 1 or 2 years, she's probably going to leave the organization to go to 7,000, to go to 100, to go to 10,000, and so on and so on and so forth, right? So even though money is not the motivation, but it is the reward that we get from it. I remember the days when I used to earn, what's it called, 50,000, right? 70,000, right? But today I go to Chevron to go and train, and I know how much I'm paid. I go to Wema Bank to go and train. I go to Union Bank to go and train, and I know how much I'm paid, right? I know how much I charge people to teach one-on-one. Do you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't, all of these were not available in the last 3-4 years ago, right? So it's an ongoing process, right? Now, take for example, I've trained your cohort again now, right? This cohort again, right, has added to my understanding, has added to my portfolio. Tomorrow, if I'm going to do another cohort, it'll probably be more expensive than this. Of course, you guys would be my testimony. And that is what is very vital for me. I want to be able to say that I train these people between this time and this time. And in between that time and this time, out of this number, 70% of them are already working with 500 Fortune companies in the world. That's my testimony. So that I can message you and say, send me some top dollars so I can use it to see front, right? So basically, it is just an ongoing process for us. So I don't want you to get discouraged, right? I know that learning is not easy. That's the truth. When yesterday I didn't see a whole lot of people in class, and we had to cancel class because of attendance. And today people joined late. I was like, these people are getting tired. That was my thought, right? People are getting tired already. They are beginning to slack. Well, yes, it's possible. Fatigue sets in, right? Fatigue sets in and all of that, but you cannot stop. That's the truth. You cannot stop. You cannot stop. You have to keep going. The Excel code that you wrote that did not work, I've told you, when it did not work, if it does not work, call people around, let them help you. That's why we are in a class. That's why it's a community, right? That's why I call it a cohort, right? You're supposed to be able to reach out to Mr. Madam Anu or Madam Alakweju or Queen or whoever is there, or Ebuka, and be able to say, guy, trust me, this thing, help me look at this thing is not working. And when they have the same issue, she mentioned this, right? Community is very important. There is really nothing that she has said to you that I've not said to you before, right? So please and please, let us continue. Sometimes if I'm tired, I do what? I step back, I watch movies, just so that I can refresh, I can reboot, then I go back to it again, right? Is the way. All the codes that I'm explaining to you today that I'm not using book, there was a time that I'll be up in the midnight and I'm reading one single line for five times, because I did. Y'all are lucky. You have somebody to explain it to me. I didn't have anybody to explain this to me. So I had to sit down. You saw my, at least you people see my textbook. You see that textbook, I finished it. I finished that textbook about 4 or 5 times. And multiple books. I have books, then I'll just be on my iPad, I'll just be reading and reading and reading. And I'm still doing the same. I'm still doing, just so that I can even take, for example, probability. I just downloaded, I was telling, who was I telling? I downloaded a book on probability some days ago, 612 pages. And I think I mentioned it in class, and I said I want to print it out, right? Just so that I can deliver probability in a better way to you, right? So, and that's the journey for me, right? And I'm also hoping that 500 Fortune company will come and pick me up and just give me like $250,000 per annum. Then I'll be seeing you people on Zoom and say, hey, let's just hang out once in a while you all are also in your places doing awesome stuff. That is the journey for us. So please and please don't get tired. It can be beautiful. We just need to be able to give it our best. It can be beautiful. That will be my last word for that section. All right, can we go back to class? Are we tired? Are we tired? I hope we're not tired. Are we tired?
We are tired.
I hope we're not tired.
Yeah,
Mr. John, we are tired.
Hey, we're tired again.
5, 6, 7,
Jesus.
It can't even enter my head.
Some mental force.
No, see you. See your head.
Hold on. All right. Okay. Let me pause. Let me stop the recording. Right. Let me stop the recording. I used to teach for. There was a time I used to teach non-stop. Of course, I've even gone back to